All right, here we are to look at the debates, tensions, and crises in the Party Democratic regime. Um, First, the debates. One of the key debates is the power of the federal government, as we looked at in the first video here. Democrats calling for more states' rights, skeptical of the federal government's role in creating a stronger national economy. Whigs more optimistic about that. Tensions here would oftentimes go along with, if the country's going to expand, how is that going to go with slavery or non-slave states? Are the new territories and states that come out of expansion going to be slave territories and states, or free territories and states? And in 1820, there had been the Missouri Compromise passed through Congress that said basically northern states that came in would be free states. Southern states would be slave states. Okay, that had worked for a while. But as the tensions and debates about slavery became more and more tense, that had led to some people criticizing that. And you even saw the rise of abolitionism in the North. Not everybody was an abolitionist, but a small vocal group of abolitionists who wanted to abolish slavery, as well as a general kind of anti-slavery feeling in the North. It didn't necessarily mean that people who were against slavery liked or were particularly concerned about Black people, but they were sometimes concerned that slavery undermined the labor of free white men. Or they didn't want slavery because it brought Black people into their community. That's part of the reason that Illinois in 1818 was a non-slave state. It was a free state, is that having slavery meant having Black people. And so being against slavery and caring about the lives and freedom of Black people didn't always go together. In the South, as time went on, the counter-reaction, in a sense, to abolitionism and the criticism of slavery on moral and economic and political grounds was a strong defense of slavery, that slavery was actually a good thing that was important for the basis of free society. So that's a strange development too. But the stakes are getting higher. And in 1850, the country was convulsed politically anyway, with a debate about what to do with the territories that had been won from Mexico in the Mexican War. Texas, well, no, sorry, not Texas, but California and New Mexico and Colorado and some others in the Southwest and Rocky Mountains area. Now, the question was, are they going to be free states or slave states, and how is this going to work? And the tension built to the point where the Missouri Compromise was scrapped, and the great compromiser, Henry Clay, worked out a compromise. He's a master of the congressional legislative process that broke up different elements of the compromise into different bits, each of which could get a majority, even if probably relatively few congressmen voted for the whole thing. But this was something like, first of all, California would become a free state. That would break the balance between the free and slave states. There would be a fugitive slave act where it was required now that fugitive slaves who had run away would be returned to their owners. Okay. So it got through, and it seemed like a compromise that could be broadly accepted, but it really wasn't. You had then the Kansas-Nebraska Act, okay, which scrapped the Compromise of 1850, scrapped the Missouri Compromise, and basically said that, well, in Kansas and Nebraska, these territories, it's up to the people there who want freedom or slavery. And that became a major political tension, especially in Kansas, where both anti-slavery and pro-slavery people tried to get in there to influence the setup of the new territory and eventually of the state of Kansas. Okay. And so that was big too. Now, after the Kansas-Nebraska Act, what happened was that the crisis was so big that that the Whig Party fell apart. Okay, the Whig Party and the Democratic Party both had pro-slavery and anti-slavery people in there. They had Northerners and Southerners. Well, that had fallen apart, and now the Whig Party, broken apart by slavery, divided between North and South, was succeeded by the Republican Party, okay, after the Kansas-Nebraska Act. The Republican Party had a lot of the same economic policies as the Whigs, except it was an explicitly anti-slavery party. So if you take the Whig platform of a stronger federal government in terms of its role in creating a big national market economy, and you took away the compromise with slavery and made it explicitly anti-slavery, you kind of have the new Republican Party. You also had some of the anti-immigration forces too. So that becomes a new party. And what that means is that party, the Republicans, have zero support in the South. And they actually win the presidential election in 1860. Okay. And this convinces many of the Southern states, 7 Deep South states at first, that Lincoln can't be trusted. He was an anti-slavery advocate. Although he'd promised not to touch slavery in the states, he had promised to restrict its spread to the territories. And so here we have the breakdown of this political system, of this political regime. It has no ability to resolve the slavery crisis and slavery tension. And you actually have the breakup, or the attempted breakup, of the country as the Deep South states secede. Now, the big question is going to be, how's the federal government going to respond? How can a civil war be conducted in the American constitutional system? Who has the lead? Is it Congress or the president? What's going to happen? If the North wins, how are they going to put the Union back together again? These are huge questions politically, and we'll be covering them next time.